and welcome to Stocks Down Under. My name is Stuart Roberts, and I'm one of the co-founders of our service. And joining me on Wednesday, the 19th of July, 2023 from Perth is Mr. Peter Allen, who's the CEO of Firebird Metals, ASX FRB. Peter, good morning.
Good morning, Stuart. Great to see you.
So, Peter, I like to joke that if I ever see your car, it's got the number plate 25 on the back. You are probably Australia's leading authority on manganese, element number 25. Given since about 2000, that's the only commodity that you've dealt with in the various companies you've worked with. Tell us about your background before Firebird Metals.
Well, so, principally, I've been involved in manganese now for like 23 odd years. A large chunk of that was with a company called Sulfates Minerals, which owned Woody Manganese Mine and Ghana Manganese Mine. Was in charge of marketing and logistics for about 4 million tonnes of sales. Been involved with lots of other manganese deposits, around the world, like Africa, in Eastern Europe, in Brazil, in Indonesia, and sort of spent my whole life working around how to develop manganese, how to value it, how to sell projects.
Right. And now you get the chance with Firebird to work on a major manganese deposit in a Tier 1 jurisdiction. Talk to us about Oakover, way up near Newman in Western Australia.
Oakover is a fantastic little deposit. It's 85 k's east of Newman. We've got a JORC resource of 176 million tonnes.
That's big, right? By manganese standards.
Definitely big. And I think the key to remember with Oakover is some people will look at it and say, look, it's quite low grade in the ground. And that's true, but it's 10% manganese, but 40% silica. And by simple crushing, screening, scrubbing, and beneficiation, you remove the silica, you pull up the manganese, and you end up with a very saleable manganese product, like the steel industry of 30+% manganese. And then that's an ideal feedstock for high purity manganese sulphate to go into batteries.
Right. And we have some idea what this deposit is worth because you've recently completed a scoping study on just producing concentrates. And there's some good economics there, but you're now going to recut the numbers on the high purity sulfate stuff, and I suspect that the numbers there are becoming sooner rather than later.
Correct. Yeah, we're expecting to announce the numbers of the sulfate scoping study in Q3. It's progressing nicely. We've been working on it now for a few weeks, and it's looking very good.
Right. So one of the things that I think is holding your stock back is investors might know iron ore, but they don't really understand manganese, which is strange given, BHP and then South 32 had Groot Island for a long while. And there's Jupiter Mines out there with Shippy Bore. What's going on? Why are investors so dumb when it comes to manganese?
Well, it's been one of those things for a long time, for my whole career almost. Manganese is not as transparent as nickel or cobalt or iron ore. So it's a little bit harder for some investors to follow. But I think two golden rules. Manganese is unsubstitutable in steel. For every ton of steel produced, there's 1 to 2% of manganese. But even more important on that, manganese is growing in importance and in use in batteries. And we're going to see some real exponential growth in consumption of high purity manganese sulfate in batteries.
Right, and the reason for that is it's a relatively inexpensive metal compared to cobalt. So you can keep the energy density but lower your cost of batteries. That's the basic theme here, right?
Correct, and it also does increase the capacity of the battery as well. So you can get more out of the battery by adding manganese into it. But it's principally the cost. Like on a nickel-based battery, an NMC 622. Manganese is 17% of its weight by volume, but it's only less than 2% of its cost. So when you compare that to nickel and cobalt, you can really see why car manufacturers like Volkswagen, Stellantis, Tesla have all said, look, we're going to start looking to produce manganese-rich nickel-based batteries. So diminish the cobalt, increase the manganese content. You don't lose any of the characteristics, and you save a whole lot.
Right. So how much more complicated is it to go from producing concentrates to producing high-purity sulfates?
Well, it is a chemical process. It's a little bit more complicated, but I've got some really good people working for me. We've understood the process. My CFO and I, we recently visited China as well. We've met high-purity manganese sulfate producers in China. We have a really good grasp of the process, what it takes, and the inputs required. So yes, more complicated, yes, a bigger capex, but I think we've got it in hand.
Right. Talk to us about some of the challenges you face. You've applied for a mining license, for example. It might take a while to get that done, but you're at various stages of the process for environmental and other stuff.
Yeah, correct. We recognised early on that like our longest lead time will be the environmental surveys that we need to do. So we started those about a year ago. We've done all our baseline studies on flora, fauna, subterranean fauna, groundwater desktop studies. So yeah, we've got a really good grasp on what we're doing. We're well advanced on a number of those. You've got to spread them over 2 seasons to get the proper survey results for the EPA. But yeah, we're well advanced. So we're working our way through that. We've recognised that. We're now looking to negotiating with the traditional owners and getting all our heritage permits and production records in place.
Right. And Oakover is just the start of the story. You've got other projects that are in the portfolio as well. Talk to us about what comes after Oakover.
Yeah, look, we are principally a manganese play, but we've got a number of other key manganese deposits. I guess, the first one that comes to mind is Hill 616. It's like 35k south of Oakover. It also contains an inferred resource, 57 million tonnes. So, completely the group has a 234 million tonne resource. And then recently, one that I'm really excited about is we picked up a project just south of Woody Manganese mine further north, a project called Wandanya. And that, I think, has real potential for DSO, a much higher grade style of mineralisation. So we picked that up last November, December. We're going through the heritage agreement access now, get our surveys done in the near term, and then we'll get some drilling done on that. I think that will provide some really good results as well.
Right. Well, Peter Allen, well done on what you and your colleagues have achieved at Firebird. It's a great story. The legendary Tolga Kamova must think so, because he's still holding his 8% of the company, and that's a great advertisement for you. Keep up the good work.
And we greatly appreciate Tolga. He's been a great supporter over the years. And thanks for your time today.
Right. See you soon.